Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This one is going to be the second in my Transformers 5 Q&A series. So yeah, this is the second video that I'm doing like this. If you are a new viewer or you haven't seen the previous video, basically what I do here is take a lot of the questions I get mainly pertaining to Transformers 5, but not exclusively, and here I am answering the ones that I would like to address in a video. I definitely think they're good enough, but I really can't do an entire discussion video on, or maybe it's something that I would like to do a video on in the future, but I would just kind of like to address briefly at this point in time. So of course, if you're interested, you can go and check out my previous video like this, just called Transformers 5 Q&A number 1, and if you would like to drop off your own question, just drop it off in the comments section below. I'll get to looking at it, and if it's something that I feel I can do an extensive enough video on, I might do an entire discussion topic, or I'll answer it in a video such as this. On my previous TF5 Q&A, I got a lot of people asking more questions, and thanks a lot to all of those who asked. I'm not going to get to all of them in this video. I'm going to pick out about 4 or 5 per video. Basically, keep it at around the 15-minute mark, no longer than that. So without further ado, let's get to answering your questions, and the first one comes from user Tanner Smith. His question is, if Sideswipe is in the films, would Sunstreaker come in the 5th one? Real quick, I did want to mention I might paraphrase some of these, just if some of the wording in the comments is kind of confusing, something like that. But in the description below, I'll basically copy and paste the text of your original comment along with your username, since I know some people like having that done. But anyways, basically I think what he's asking is, if Sideswipe does indeed return in the 5th film, would we see Sunstreaker come as well? As, traditionally they are those two Autobot brothers. We kind of see this from time to time with Autobot siblings, so I guess they could make Sunstreaker and Sideswipe siblings in the film, even though Sideswipe's pretty different from his G1 counterpart, especially in regards to his design. But anyways, my thoughts on this, I really doubt we'll see Sunstreaker in TF5 at all. Number of reasons for this. One of the big ones is, well, for one thing, we don't even know if we are going to see Sideswipe in Transformers 5. Now we do have the writer's room going on. They seem to care a little bit more about what fans want, creating a better universe, and, Hasbro has stated they're interested in more fan involvement. And not only do people want to see Sideswipe come back, so they might be interested in it for that reason, but also we weren't given definitive proof that Sideswipe was killed in Age of Extinction. Now, I know a lot of people will argue against this idea. If you want to discuss that or hear my extensive thoughts, you can check out a video of mine called Can Sideswipe's and Other Autobots' Deaths Be Confirmed? Evidence and Analysis. But basically, I don't think there's enough evidence to say Sideswipe did die in Age of Extinction. I mean, even if the film planners were planning for that to be the conclusion we would make, I mean, they could bring him back, and at this point it doesn't look like it would make any contradictions, and it definitely would be very cool. So here's the thing in regards to Sunstreaker. If they're already bringing him back, even if he's just back from the start of the film, which is probably what they would do, it's already going to be kind of a new thing having him come back, where you probably at least have a mention of this, that the other Autobots found him along the way or something. You gotta remember, we also are going to have other plot lines going on. The Optimus one, whatever new conflict there is with Decepticons, presumably we have new Autobots showing up, so I think also including Sunstreaker being added to the cast, him being Sideswipe's brother, would just be a lot to pack into Transformers 5. Also, I mean, we as fans like Sideswipe enough that, yeah, it would be cool to see Sunstreaker, but I think they should give him a lot more development in the films before they introduce Sunstreaker, basically so we and the audience care about him a lot more and to know his, Transformers family tree or whatever you want to call it. So, if they were to have him in Transformers 5 and hopefully give him better development, with the new writers on board, hopefully that's something that they would do, then I think they could introduce him in Transformers 6, but in Transformers 5, no, I don't think he's going to be in there, and personally, I would like them to hold off on it. Also, I have the feeling that a lot of the new Autobots we're going to be seeing might be ones like Ultra Magnus, Springer, maybe Prowl, but overall, there's a good chance there'll be a lot more Season 3 type characters, since with the whole Creators arc, the introduction of Galvatron, those were a lot of the characters we were seeing in G1, and, they seem to kind of want to parallel things, so Sunstreaker wouldn't really fit into that scheme. I mean, they could go a totally different route. We really don't have much evidence at this point to say one way or the other, but those are just my thoughts on it. Basically, I don't think we're going to see Sunstreaker in Transformers 5. In 6, it would be cool though. But anyways, thanks for the topic suggestion. The next question comes from Mahtimus Prime, and his comment reads, a topic suggestion. Which figure is your favorite combiner in the Combiner Wars toy line so far? Mine has got to be Devastator. So this doesn't relate to Transformers 5, but I figured that I would answer it here. Thanks Mahtimus Prime for the comment. I don't own all of the combined forms currently, I'm still working on that, but I've had most of the combined molds in hand, basically counting the Voyagers and the team, the Stunticons and Optimus Maximus combiners basically being the same thing, that kind of thing. Haven't seen Devastator yet in person. I'm personally going to go with Superion, hands down. I might even like him better than Devastator once I get him. I think Superion is a very, very nice combined form. He has a really nice range of articulation, which might seem typical for the combined forms, but as we see with some molds such as Menasor, they can have problems with that because of the way that the legs are structured. So Superion definitely scores there. He also gives off a lot of G1 vibes, which is definitely a good thing with the Combiner Wars line, since that's what they're aiming for. While he looks like an interesting figure himself, I just think he looks really nice in his combined form. Even though the Aerial Bots personally aren't my favorite team, they're actually on the lower end of, my rankings for the Combiner Wars figures, I think Superion is a really nice form. The Menasor mold definitely has its problems, and it looks a little bit awkward. Still kind of cool, but, a little bit awkward. Defensor is really cool looking, but he's kind of clunky and stuff. I'm curious to see how Bruticus might fix those. I just feel like Superion really nails everything right with the Combiner Wars line that we've seen so far. Though, like I said, Devastator could change that. But anyways, that's that. Thanks a lot for the question. I really enjoy doing favorite type questions. I don't get a whole lot of them, but when I do, it kind of makes me stop and think, like, who is my favorite figure of a certain lineup, something like that. Next question does pertain to Transformers 5, and that question comes from user Mohamed Santigie. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name there, but the comment is, are the IDW Transformers Decepticon Justice Division DJD too brutal for the films? And there was kind of a mistype there, so just improvised. The original comment, of course, will be in the description below. This is something that I'm sure a lot of Transformer fans don't know about, unless, of course, you read the comics. I actually didn't know about it too much until I got this comment and really looked it up. Like, I'd heard it before, but looked into it. So basically, what the Decepticon Justice Division are is a group of about, I think it's like 5 or 6 Decepticons who are, at least to my knowledge, I believe all new characters, not recycled from G1 or previous series. And they basically hunt down Decepticons who might have betrayed the Decepticons or just kind of been inactive in the cause, and they'll hunt them down and basically torture them until they kill them, or I don't know, they might just keep them around to torture them sometimes. I'm sure some comic book fans could correct me about that, and maybe there's more intricacies to their characters, but I think that's the basic gist of it. They're loyal to Megatron's original Decepticon intent, whereas Megatron seems like he's kind of developed in the comics. They still have this original idea, and anyone who isn't loyal to that idea or isn't loyal to Megatron, they'll basically do this to. So altogether, it's a lot darker than what we usually see in Transformers. Definitely seems really cool, and what makes it even darker is that they either transform into or have their bodies in some way incorporate sorts of Transformer torture devices, which is really, really dark compared to what we usually get in Transformers. I mean, there's definitely a reason that the user would question that these would even, be used in the movies at all, and yeah, I would definitely be very skeptical of them ever being included. I mean, there's a number of reasons for this. It doesn't all have to do with the dark stuff. Probably the biggest reason, actually, is that there would really be no purpose for these characters at this point in the films. I mean, we haven't had many well-developed, formerly Decepticon characters who defected and went over to the Autobot side. Revenge of the Fallen spoilers, just skip 30 seconds if you're concerned about that. We did have Jetfire in Revenge of the Fallen, and he did get enough time that we probably would actually care about him if the DJD was coming after him. However, he of course died by the end of the film, so he's not around anymore, and that's something else I was going to get to. Even if we had a Decepticon who defected, we don't really have anyone who we would care about enough at this point, even if they were just to introduce a former Decepticon who joined the Autobots at the beginning of TF5. Like, no one would really care because the character hasn't been that well developed. Now, we don't know Drift's backstory in these films. If they are to go with Drift's traditional backstory, that he was formerly a Decepticon, which, I mean, they could do. He's a pretty different character, but they could take that part of his character and just add it to his movie counterpart. That would definitely make us care a little bit more, but still, I think it's definitely too early to introduce them. Also, I think we have a lot of other potential plot lines for at least Transformers 5 and Transformers 6 that we wouldn't need the Decepticon Justice Division just yet. And yeah, it would definitely be pretty dark for the movies, especially when, Peter Cullen and Hasbro are talking about pulling it in a lighter direction, which, I think in a lot of ways is unfortunate, except when it comes to, like Optimus's character. Either way, something like this would probably be touchy even for the previous movies, just because, having robots just fight and destroy each other is one thing, but torture's a pretty dark concept. It's definitely something that is dealt with in reality, unlike giant fighting robots. So, yeah, it's probably too much of a touchy issue anyways. I don't think they would like to add that. Personally, I think it would be a really cool concept. Granted, they could make us, actually care about the Bayformers universe enough that, we would want to see them in there. And hopefully with these new writers, we would. Maybe this is something they can include in the Machinima series. It would definitely be really cool if they want to, make it darker toned and stuff. It would definitely help. Anyways, thanks a lot for the question, and the final question I'll be looking at comes from user Frankie Cownie, and his comment was, I thought of an interesting question. Who would you pick as Alpha Trion's voices? I was thinking either Patrick Stewart or William Shatner. So thanks a lot for the question. I think you've given some good questions in the past, so thanks a lot for those. Of course, keep them coming. And personally, I would kind of like to see them keep with the voice actor they used from Transformers Prime, George Takei. I believe that's the way you say his last name. The guy who played Zulu in the original Star Trek series. I think he did a really good job of voicing Alpha Trion. I mean, thinking about Alpha Trion's character, I think he captured him better than the original voice actor did. Maybe just a little bit more of emotion because he sounded really stoic, but, talking through the Matrix and all of that, I guess that's the way you're going to sound. Whereas if, he was an actual character, we probably could expect something more. And I think if they were going to put Alpha Trion into the next film, they could definitely get him to do the voice because, yeah, he's a big actor, but Transformers films can definitely get those big actors for the voices of Transformers characters. But as far as Patrick Stewart and William Shatner, which is interesting you'd mention those because those two guys and a lot of these actors are dudes who have been in Star Trek, but they seem to be a pretty good fit for Transformers. As far as those two guys, I definitely would like to see them do voices for Transformers characters somewhere down the road. I mean, I don't know about what characters in particular, but it would definitely be cool to see William Shatner voice a Transformer. Maybe one who's kind of intentionally cheesy but funny, but cool at the same time. And Patrick Stewart just has to be someone really awesome. I mean, I love Patrick Stewart. The dude has an awesome voice. He's awesome as Professor X, Captain Picard. Just, yeah, listen to interviews with him too. Patrick Stewart's just an awesome guy. Also, he's done voice acting, like, just look up American Dad Avery. He voices that character and has been doing it for like around 10 years now or something. So, he could definitely do the voice of a Transformer. I think it would be really cool. Now, this user did have another question about Transformers crossover films, but the video is getting a little bit long here, so I'm going to wrap things up. And that's a topic I've actually been asked about a lot, way more than, I thought people would be asking about it, so I might want to dedicate an entire video to that. Anyways, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks to all of those who gave the suggestions that were presented in this video, and the ones that weren't. I don't always get to like seeing every single comment, so if you still have a question for me about Transformers 5 or something, Transformers related, drop it off in the comment section below and I might answer it in one of these Q&As or do an entire discussion topic on it. And of course, in the comment section you can also discuss any of the questions answered in this video. Maybe you have reasons to think Sunstreaker will be coming in Transformers 5, post about your favorite Combiner Wars figure, whatever it might be. Also, if you're interested in more news and commentary on Transformers 5, you can go to my channel and my playlist where you can find a more organized view of all my videos, where it's grouped into like Transformers 5, Robots in Disguise, Generations, all that cool stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter for more regular updates on Transformer and Bionicle buys and other cool stuff. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.